Hey everyone, welcome back to Spyder Garage and welcome to this. This mess you're looking at right here is what we're calling Project Monztrosity. Partly because it's a cool name, but mainly because it really is a monstrosity. The work we've done to it so far, I'll put a link up to it up above here. You guys can get caught up on that. If you're new to our channel and you have no idea what this thing is, let me quickly explain. It is a 1977 Chevy Monza body swapped onto a 1992 Corvette chassis. You can see the LT1 there from the Corvette. That is coming out eventually. That was just on there for now, just to give us the weight we needed to adjust the suspension. But here's what's going on. This thing has to be ready for LS Fest the first weekend of September, I believe. That's just a little over a month and a half from now. Yeah. The other bad news is that all the footage, most of the footage that we have filmed to get the car to this point right here has been lost. I don't want to talk about it. It's still pretty raw for me right now. So, because you have no idea what we've done to get the car to this point, I'm going to use this episode to just basically walk you around the car, kind of soak it in a little bit. Hopefully you don't criticize us too badly, because it's not meant to be a nice car. It's not meant to look nice. It's supposed to... The premise behind this car is that if you were to go to an old race car junkyard and you picked out body panels from the old decon Chevy Monzas, the cars that actually raced back in the mid to late 70s, early 80s, from like the Michael Kaisers and the Al Holberts and the Chris Cords, and you grabbed all those old used body parts and you slapped them together to make one good car, that's what Monstrosity is. So it's going to be a patina build. It's not going to be shiny, but it's just a lot to get done in the time that we've got. So I'm going to walk you around the car, show you what we have done, and then show you what we still have left to do, and just pray that we can get this thing done in time for LS Fest. Okay, very quickly, you can see that the car is sitting on 4 jacks at the moment to get it off the floor. That was to completely level the car out, because when we set the body on there, we didn't want the body to be skewed front to back, back to front, whatever, to the Corvette chassis. So everything was carefully leveled before the body itself was attached. Right now we just have a couple tabs underneath here, a couple tabs up there, a couple tabs in the back that hold the body on there. We'll add more structure to it in the next week. You'll see that in an upcoming episode. Here's the original Corvette frame. Here's some framework that we've added to hook in the Monza door. We had to cut the original hinges, adjust them quite a bit. We also made them adjustable, by the way, so the door can tilt up and down if we need to. But that's how we mounted the door. It does hang down just a little bit, but we're still working on building strikers for it. Here are the tires that are going on this thing. Eventually, we're going to have a custom 3-piece set of Youngblood racing wheels made that are polished hoops with anodized gold centers, very reminiscent of what the original Decon Monzas had back in the day. That's why we went with those wheels, because retro-wise, they look perfect for this car. This is a tribute car. And granted, these are 18-inch tires and wheels, which the original Decons did not have. They only had 15-inch. But again, try finding 15-inch rims and tires these days. So this is our current version of what a car would look like if it were built today. The LT1 is coming out. Over there is a 6-liter LQ9 out of a 2004 Escalade that will be going in here with the help of Speedway Motors adapter engine mounts, and we've also got a Speedway Motors mock-up block. Before we ever put that thing in there, we actually have one of those assembled mock-up blocks that allows us to bolt headers to, and we could, that allows us to adjust the engine mounts with a lot less weight than what that iron block is over there. And oh, by the way, if you can see this in the background, here are the wide body panels. Later in the episode, I'll put these on so you guys get a little better idea, because looking at this right now, you're like, what the heck? There's no way. Well, I promise you it looks a lot better once the panels are on here. There's not much of a quarter panel left right here, but believe it or not, I actually have to trim it a little bit more because the tires hit the bottom of the original panel here. We were able to reuse the old Corvette gas tank. I got it strapped into a frame that Nathaniel welded in here about a week or two ago. You can see that attaches to the original Corvette frame. And just little by little, we're building a roll bar for it. Little things are happening. So, oh, by the way, just to throw people off, we're keeping the Corvette dash. So here's a kind of a filler panel we made between the original Monza dash and the Corvette dash, and I'll rivet this in here and paint the whole thing black eventually. There is a lot to do. The main thing that we want to work on this next week is plans have changed so many times for this car that this temporary frame we welded in here to hold the doghouse was originally meant for actual metal Monza fenders and the original urethane front end, and it just didn't work out. I'll stitch in a picture here of what that looked like. Nathaniel and Sean did great work on that, but it just didn't look right, and it was going to cost and take a lot more time to actually get that done than it was to buy the actual panels. So we've got to take these down, adjust them, reshape them a little bit, and then we're probably going to custom mold or custom make a box tubing that curves down with the contour of the hood and goes all the way across, and just create kind of a skeleton that doghouse over there can be mounted on. In the next month, we're going to paint this car right here in the garage. Again, because this is a patina build, we don't really care if it looks super nice. It's just going to be good enough. It's supposed to look like an old race car that was pulled out of a junkyard, so try to picture it if you can. In the interior, it's a little hard to see, but we got an I Did It steering column in there. We've got some new gauges with an adapter for the Corvette dash from NVU Detroit, New Vintage USA. The console right now is for an automatic. We're planning on putting, I don't know if it's going to work yet or not, this 5-speed AR5 from Chevy Colorado. Just budget-wise, that's the best we could do right now. We'd love to have a TKX in here, but the quote we got on that was just a little more than we could do right now. Here on the back of the car, I had to back the camera up just to kind of show you because it's such a large item. But we're going to have the Phase 4, Phase 5 banana-style rear wing that comes up off the back hatch. It comes up to about 6 foot high height. So I'm not sure what I'm going to make it out of yet. I've been given some hints from a gentleman that actually restores the original Decon Monzas. He said sometimes they're made out of a really expensive kind of aircraft aluminum, and other times they're just made out of marine wood, which is probably what I'm going to use. It's expensive wood, but it's really high, dense wood. It's easier to cut and shape. There's going to be a foil wing between the two right here. I'll stitch in the rendering of what the thing looks like. You can kind of get an idea right here what massive wing is going to be on the back here. So, in other words, this car is going to be pretty outrageous. All right, here's something I'm excited about. Corvettes come with a monoleaf suspension. It's great suspension. There's really nothing wrong with it, but we can make it better, and we wanted to convert it over to QA1 coilovers. QA1 doesn't make a coilover specifically for a C4 Vet from 84 to 96. However, they do partner with a company called Van Steel that makes the adapters. So when you remove the monoleaf, you've got the really nice billet adapters here to allow you to bolt onto your existing frame. They work with Hypercoil company to work with a special 2 1/4 inch diameter spring to assemble on the special QA1 double adjustable shocks that are just for this kit. So if you want to convert your C4 Corvette to coilovers and you don't think that you can do it, here it is right here. All right, what I'm going to do now is, if you just can't see the vision and you're wondering why we're even working on such a hunk of junk, I'm going to go ahead and mock up all the panels and assemble this thing into something that looks somewhat like a race car. I know it's not going to be done, but you'll see the body panels, the shape, and maybe a little bit of the vision. So I'm going to put a time lapse on now, and you guys get to see what it is that we're so excited about, and hopefully you will be too. here it is. Wide body. Wide phase 4 fenders. 315 tire. Stuck right after the edge. Door scoop, side scoop. Wide body fenders up front. Big shovel chin spoiler. Again, this stuff is just literally sitting here. It's not bolted up. If you guys saw me struggle with that blue and white hood back there, I finally scrapped it for an old fiberglass one. I don't think we're going to use the fiberglass one here. I really would like to use a metal hood if I can, because it has more of that Monza hump in the middle that I want to use. But I also know that the intake that we have picked for this, which I can't reveal yet, is going to go clear back into the cowl, and I'm going to have to cut into the cowl and bring the hood back to cover it a little bit. So I'm now wondering if I maybe don't want to use the fiberglass hood and just bring that spoiler on, I'm sorry, that hood scoop further back to cover the cowl that I got to cut out. So I don't know, it's making me think. And it sure would be easier to just pin on a fiberglass hood than try to make a frame for a heavy metal hood that doesn't have a frame at the moment. So there you go. You get a little bit better idea of what it is that we're envisioning. And once the paint's on there, once the tires and wheels on there, and it's sitting on the ground, sitting low, which it's going to be a whole lot lower than this, it's just going to be amazing. 6-liter LS LQ9 under the hood. Not sure what transmission yet. Based on time, we may have to keep the automatic for now and upgrade to stick later. Based on time, we may have to keep the original suspension and go with the QA1 later as well. It just depends on all we can get done. The biggest thing is it's just got to be running and assembled enough to make it to LS Fest. And hoping we can get all that done, but who knows. Okay, it is super hot out here today. I apologize if my sweat's showing through, but I've got to get some work done on this thing today. So this was just going to be a quick video today for you guys to see the vision and to understand why we've been just a little bit absent on YouTube here the last few weeks, because things happen. And I'll have a better hard drive / backup system in place in the future so that I don't lose tons and tons of footage and a lot of work they put into getting the car where it is right now. But I mean, do you see it? Do you see it? How about now? Do you see it yet? Is that not the coolest thing ever? All right, guys, gotta go. Nathaniel hasn't been out here because he's working night shifts, and he's just catching up on a little sleep. He'll be out here in the garage with me later, but I just had to hurry up and get this out of here. Sorry for his absence as well. He's 20 years old now. He's a working man. Anyway, this, with any luck, will be at LS Fest. First weekend in September down in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Be watching for future episodes because we're going to be putting out regular ones now to keep you guys up to date. And you'll see what it takes to body swap a car that should have never been on a Corvette chassis in the first place. There is no easy way to do that. If we had 2.5 months just to reassemble a car that normally bolted together that looked like this, we'd have a hard time trying to make it in time, but let alone custom fabbing every single thing that is on this car in 2.5 months. I think I said a month and a half earlier in the episode. My apologies, it's actually 2.5 months. But as you can tell, we got a lot to do. All right, so on that note, I've got to go. I got to get back to work on this thing. Sorry again for the absence of coverage of this thing, but now we're going to be putting regular stuff up there. Be on the lookout for another episode coming out soon. You'll see what we got done in the next week on this thing. Thanks for watching, guys. We always appreciate you. Take care.